Yo, what up, Lucid crew? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to look at videos from all over the internet to try to understand things we don't understand in hopes that we start understanding things that we don't understand. So, yeah, let's go.
Do you know that there's a pyramid in Alaska? There's a pyramid and it's underground, and they've been studying it for decades. It's not that far from Valdez, I believe. I would have to check on where it's at, but apparently, yeah. And I know a very important person that from the Pentagon that met with one of the lead defense contractors that were studying it, and they told him, they said, we think we finally know what it's doing. It's turned on. We think it's suppressing consciousness. That's what he said. The legend is that there was an earthquake of sorts, and all the seismographs picked up the waves that come, you know, all the way through everything, and they saw this whole anomaly, like as those shock waves went through the land, there was some kind of structure or something that perturbed, you know, on the receiving end of these waves. And so they dug some tunnels, elevator shafts, made a little strip there to land, and they've been underground studying it forever. That's how the legend is. Then the news did a little piece on it, and then all of a sudden all that shit disappeared. The people at the station said, the guys came in and said, never air this again, kind of thing. So, but on the deathbed of a couple people that were out there, they said like they were very aware of that. I think in the beginning, if I remember correctly, again, it was like someone that worked for like Bell Labs or like, who was it? It was maybe it was more the precursor to AT&T or something like that. Like, I can't remember all the. I don't want to get it all too fucked up. People kind of hang on my words when I talk about shit like this. But, so the only thing I want to say is, yes, there is a pyramid, and we've been studying it, and I pretty much have said all I know about it. But I got some other theories, but you know.
Well, it's crazy because like Tom DeLonge, everyone was like giving him shit, right, when he left Blink-182 to start, you know, studying aliens and stuff. I listened to some of his interviews and things like that, and they basically talked about like they approached him because he was actually like getting like information that was like helpful to the whatever you want to call them that are actually really studying the aliens and shit like that. So he's been working with them. So, and I believe a lot of what he says is as close to the truth as we're going to get. And honestly, if there's like one thing that I could know, like for sure, just get all the information about ever, I think it would be all of the past civilizations that have lived on Earth and the technology and things that they've had. Because you figure like over years and years and years and years and years, like all that stuff is covered up. So it's not surprising that there's a massive pyramid underground somewhere because it just got covered up over time by nature, or you know, they did it intentionally to hide it or whatever. But either way, I feel like that shit's everywhere. At the bottom of the ocean, underneath, you know, all the sand and mud under certain parts of the ocean could be hidden civilizations we're never going to know about. It's so insane to think, and it's kind of unfortunate and upsetting at the same time that we're never going to know about them.
There is a record of technologies that existed on Earth, of civilization more advanced than we are now, and the question is, were there some use of some type of electrogravitic levitation technologies that were used? The other problem is, even when the Smithsonian paid $5 million to simulate using mathematics and the technology that archaeologists say existed back in the time of the pyramids, those obelisks, like the Washington Monument, but those were all one big piece of stone, they couldn't raise the smallest one. With everything we know now about mathematics and engineering, with what's been postulated. So there's something doesn't add up there. But I think it's a bridge too far to claim they were built by ETs. But they were certainly, their construction and the precision of the stones cut, how far they were moved, how they were put into place. There are a lot of questions I have, but I have no proof of how that might have happened, except the man I referred to earlier from Redstone Arsenal area, who is given material occasionally, is not always extraterrestrial. He has been given objects that are tens of thousands of years old or older, that are technological, that have been found in the ocean and elsewhere, that were of human origin and were extremely advanced technologies. So I believe that it's likely that on Earth, prior to the modern era, there have been civilizations far advanced beyond where we are, that for which we have very little record. And when that record is found, I think it's kind of swept under the carpet. You know, it's interesting. There were years ago when they did the Mars, images, and they found that there were these obelisks and strange looking objects on Mars. I went out to the Goddard Space Flight Center here outside DC to meet with, Mark Carlotta and some other scientists there. And they said, yep, it's been pixelated out for the public, but there are structures there. And, they were very ancient, but we're talking millions of years old, millions. And I was out in California after I had disclosed this to some people, and a man came up to me from JPL, Jet Propulsion Labs, and I didn't know him. He knew who I was and said, Dr. Greer, here's the issue. You're right, those exist, but we can't disclose that. I said, why? It's not an operational ET device. It's not, you know, it's old. He says, yes, but you don't understand how powerful this information is. I said, why? He says, if this was disclosed, it would collapse the fundamentalist orthodox belief systems of every religion on earth.
So here's one thing I don't understand about that. I've always said that, you know, they're not telling us everything because it would collapse religions around the world if they knew that, you know, there were civilizations around older than what we think, so on and so forth, aliens, whatever. But at the same time, doesn't the Bible, and I know I'm just saying, like, the Christian Bible isn't like the all-encompassing religion, you know, it's just the one I grew up at, so it's the one I'm most familiar with. So I'm just going to use that as an example. Wouldn't there be the idea of outer space and other planets and stuff like that already go against what the Bible says? You know, I mean, there's so many people that are flat earth supporters that comment on my channel and talk about, you know, the firmament and the earth being flat and stuff in the Bible. So just for NASA to say that there are other planets out there and that space is like huge and infinite and stuff like that, that already goes against some things that are in the Christian Bible and probably other ones, I would assume, because they're all very similar in a lot of aspects. So what sense does that make, to where like this could make all religions fall apart because it goes against what, let's say, the Bible says? Like, okay, well, NASA's already saying shit that goes against what the Bible says. So I don't understand that logic. I certainly think they're covering up some stuff. I just don't know why.
Doesn't necessarily start at a steam engine,
right,
and go to an internal combustion engine, and then, you know, electric power, nuclear power, and go up the ladder that we come in. If the stuff is true about the origin and the binary star system, and they have heavier elements that we don't have, and this element, stable element 115, is a naturally occurring material, maybe that's the first thing they started experimenting with. And the version of their steam engine, their first product, was something that operated like this. And actually, when they came to Earth to look around, or, you know, whatever, they were amazed at the stuff we were doing. These guys burned stuff and squirted out the back to go forward. So, you know, who says they follow any kind of normal progression like that?
I've always said it, man. Humans are conceited. We're a very conceited species. Even on a smaller level of like it being hard for people to comprehend how other people can think differently than they think based off of their environment and their experiences. I mean, just like the political climate, like how could you think differently from how I feel about, you know, human rights or, you know, abortion or whatever? Like, just at the very like small base level, like we can't even comprehend why somebody would think different from us. So it makes sense to me that people wouldn't be able to fathom another species just progressing and growing and evolving differently than us, because you figure everything's different. The gravity's different, environment's different, the atmosphere's different, like Bob said here, the elements are probably different, like everything is so much different. So you have things like a lot of people, like he was saying here in the video, are thinking like, why would they care about us if their technology is so much, you know, more sophisticated and technologically advanced beyond ours? Why would they come and why would they care? We'd be like ants to them. And that's not always the case. They could have evolved differently, and they could be like, wow, how did we never think of a steam engine? You know, wow, how do we never think of a self-landing rocket ship, you know, with a propulsion engine? Like, it's, you have to really think outside of the box. And I know as like conspiracy theorists, we do that. We try to think outside of the box as much as possible, but we also have to put ourselves in other potentially unbelievable shoes, right? Like we gotta like put yourself in someone else's shoes. Like we have to think like, this is completely insane and outside of our realm of understanding. So it's very possible, and that's very hard to do because there are so many things that are not similar to our existence and so many things that are so much different. Like for it to be completely and utterly unbelievable and just impossible in our realm of understanding kind of makes it that much more possible to happen.
and you'll see the thing spinning. There we are. I'll hold it at the same level as your eyes and we'll let it go. Now you know that it's turning around in circles. In fact, if you look at it from above, you can see that it's turning around in a circle. But now your brain is doing something strange. It's telling you that it's not going around in a circle, but it's oscillating. In other words, it's turning part way, stopping, and then going back the other way. Now that's a strange effect, isn't it? But if you think that's strange, wait till I add something through the middle. What am I going to add? Well, I'm going to add a ballpoint pen. And to do that, I've placed a little piece of double-sided sticky tape on the ballpoint pen. You can use ordinary sticky tape if you like. I'll place it right through the centre of the window and press it in place like that. Now this time, by fixing on the pen, you'll be able to see that the pen is going around in a circle and not going backwards and forwards. But what's your brain going to tell you about the window? Will your brain allow you to see the window going around in a circle with the pen? Or are you going to see something really strange? Well, have a look at that. That's unbelievable, isn't it? You can see the pen going around in a circle, but your brain is telling you that the window is going part way around and turning and going the other way. And yet in order to do that, the two things have to pass through one another, the pen and the window. You know it's not possible. You know it can't happen. And yet as you look at it, you see them going through one another every time they go around.
When people say seeing is believing, it's not true, man. It's not true. I saw it. It's true. It's real. It did that. Did it though? Did it really do that? Our minds are literally have evolved and have been created in a way to where it tries to make sense of what we're seeing based off of things that we've already seen. Hence pareidolia. So, I don't know, man. You really just got to question everything. Even if you're seeing it with your own eyes, you really just got to be like, I'm not sure. I don't know. That's what I saw. I don't know if that's what happened. And some of us are so incredibly confident in the things that we see and claim to be true, and it's obviously just not the case. Just look at this video.
Chemtrails cause mind control. Well, what people don't realize is that your consciousness is governed by light. Light comes in through your eyes and hits your pineal gland. You have to have that. And you have to have it, and the pineal gland is the center of consciousness. It's the center of the soul, Descartes said. Okay? And so light, the color of light, changes your consciousness. And if the sun is changing, then it's possible that our consciousness is changing. It could be that the changing nature of the sun over the last 20 years is what's causing the Great Awakening that's happening. And they know that the Great Awakening is happening. Previous to our other conversation about archons, what if the archons realized that the changing nature of the sun was going to wake people up and they're going to find out about them? What do? That's what they do. They spray the skies. Everywhere. I have a friend who just was traveling through Europe last week, 2 weeks straight in Europe. I go to Europe all the time. I used to never see chemtrails in Europe. He said the skies were filled with them. I have a friend who lives in South Africa, Michael Tellinger. Same thing. He tells me the skies are filled with chemtrails now. They used to just be the United States, he said.
There's no clear days anymore.
There's no clear days anymore. And they've upped it. I don't know if you've noticed, but they've upped it. It's now much more spraying than there used to be, say, 3 years ago.
Right.
And the spraying is different. They've really gotten sophisticated. This is some of the thicker, like that middle cloud there in that photograph. They've really gotten good with their with whatever technology they're using here.
Whoa, that's a wild theory. I never thought of that before. Yeah, everything is just light bending around everything, right? So for them to manipulate the light in a way, I guess that could very well be the case. You know, that could very well be possible to kind of give us a different reality, right, that we're experiencing based on changing the light. It sounds so simple. Like it sounds like it's such like a surface level statement, right? Like, oh, if they change the light, we'll see things differently. But it's like, I feel like it goes beyond that. I just don't know how to describe that in a way to make it sound more interesting. But very possible though. That's a wild theory.
The conspiracy theory around the Mandela effect. This woman gave the example of the Fruit of the Loom logo. She said the Fruit of the Loom logo used to have a cornucopia in it.
It did, didn't it? Here's the thing.
Fruit of the Loom was like, we've never ever had that.
That's impossible.
This chick went so crazy about it. Like, she was talking to her therapist, and her therapist is like, chill out about Fruit of the Loom.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm not kidding. It has a cornucopia in it, and I'm gonna die on this hill. She went through her whole closet and like friends' closets and stuff, and she finally found a t-shirt that had the Fruit of the Loom logo with with a cornucopia.
No
in it.
way.
And she went as far as to go look at the old like trademarks and stuff and found an illustration of the cornucopia.
Dude, what is up with that? Why are they gaslighting us?
The theory is it's a giant experiment to see how easy it is to erase history.
I mean, that's 100% probably a real thing.
So
Yeah.
be stubborn. It's Bernstein Bears.
Yes.
Yeah, not Berenstain.
It is 100% Bernstein Bears, dude. 100%. That is screwed up. That's so screwed up. It does not surprise me, though. I mean, just living in America these past couple of years, it would not surprise me if there's just a massive psyop to see how easy it was to erase history. Because, I mean, they're trying to erase history anyway, whoever they are. Like, they don't want us to know stuff that happened that will potentially harm what they're trying to do moving forward. So, it does not surprise me at all. We are just meant to be dumb, ignorant, non-free thinking, just like zombies that just consume and eat trash and end up on a ship like in WALL-E, where we're just fat and can't take care of ourselves, and we just have robots taking care of us, and the overlord just completely just managing our life. The puppeteer, right? The puppeteers at the top just managing our life and keeping us happy with milkshakes and reality TV. Shit, man. It doesn't surprise me at all. That's probably true. Still Bernstein Bears.
To anyone who believes the moon landing happened, that NASA actually went to the moon, I got some questions for you. First, do you actually believe that this piece of junk right here actually landed on the moon? Let's take a closer look at the moon lander. This seriously looks like cardboard and aluminum foil. If a school kid made this in science class, he wouldn't even get a C. Next question for you. Who was the cameraman for Neil Armstrong's first steps on the moon? Who was taking the picture? Also, Neil Armstrong's boots. They don't match the footprints made on the moon. How do you explain that one, baby cakes? And I got one more question for you. Remember the moon buggy that they drove on the moon? The go-kart they made so they could drive around the moon. How did it get there? How did it get there? This is what they say landed on the moon. So how did the moon buggy fit in or on this thing? Now, I'm not saying they landed on the moon or they didn't. I'm just asking the question. Shabadoo Bushkies! Shabadoo!
Yeah, it is worth talking about, I suppose. The Y-Files, I respect the hell out of the Y-Files, the research they do and stuff. And they did a video about the moon landing. It's basically saying, like, it probably did happen, right? Just based on all the evidence and the misconceptions we have about, you know, the stars not being in the photo because of, you know, the reflection of the moon and from the sunlight and just a whole bunch of stuff like that makes really a lot of sense. But I'm still in the group that thinks, or it might not even be a group, it might just be me. I think we went to the moon. I don't think the footage they used, I don't think the stuff that we see, like Neil Armstrong and stuff, I don't think that is the actual footage of being on the moon, or when we went to the moon. I think that we have been there, and I think that they just couldn't share with us what they found on the moon. So that's where I'm at. So I do think this footage and stuff is super fake. It looks super fake. Like, I also think, too, being like a big fan of retrofuturism, you know, like the Jetsons and stuff like that aesthetic where, you know, back in the days, what they thought technology would look like in the future, they would make that, and it's just like different from how it actually is now. That's what that lander looks like to me. It looks like what somebody in the 60s created that they thought something that would land on the moon would look like. And it looks very, like I said, tinfoil and cardboard. That's what it looks like to me. I don't have all the answers, but I do not think that what you see is what actually happened in most cases. So it shouldn't surprise you.
You have no idea. There's a book that shows you without any machinery how to travel to different universes. Why don't you know about this book? Why don't you have this book? They do not want you to know what's inside this book. In order to understand this book, you must first understand that reality is not what it seems. Your perception of reality is based on creation, not on how reality actually is. In other words, your perception of reality is based on not what is true, but adaptation. Your senses are not based on what is and how reality actually looks, but instead is based on what is best for your perception in order to survive and interface with reality. If you had to perceive time, the fourth dimension, within your third dimensional brain and framework, you would be unable to interact and interface with the reality around you. Because the past, the future, and the present is all happening at one time. But you have adapted to perceive things as happening step by step by step by step in order to help you process reality. So you cannot perceive the fourth and the fifth dimension, though it's always here and a part of your life. The fourth dimension being time and the fifth dimension being timelines or possibilities. Though you cannot perceive these dimensions in the same way you can perceive the second dimension or the third dimension, you can interact with these dimensions. You see, time is a loop. Time is a cycle, and you can become trapped in these cycles. How many of you watching think that you've lived this life before, feel like you've lived a lot of these events before? How many of you watching feel like you're doing the same mistakes over and over and over again? Write in the comments your experiences with that. Pause this and write it in the comments. What if I told you there's a way out? What if I told you you can escape into another timeline, another universe? This book does exactly that. If you read the entire book, by the end of the book, you will be in a completely different timeline and a better timeline. It's called God's Journal.
I'm not familiar at all with that. Are you familiar with God's Journal? Do you know what this is? I've never heard of it before. It's an interesting concept, though. I wonder if it's just because while you're reading it, you're learning and kind of like awakening yourself, I guess. Like waking up to things. So by the time you have all that information, you're viewing reality differently. So you kind of inadvertently and maybe unintentionally kind of project yourself into a different timeline or like reality just based on the understanding you gain by reading the book. That's kind of what I'm getting from it. I don't know if that's what he was talking about, but I mean, it sounds insane no matter what, but that's really the only way that I could, I guess, justify those events happening just based off of reading the book. But I don't know. If it's something different, let me know. If you've read this book or you're familiar with it, let me know in the comments, because that was my first time hearing about it, and it sounds pretty interesting.
World's smartest kid thinks that CERN blew the world up in 2008.
Maybe that fucking kid is right.
Energy cannot be created nor destroyed, only transferred from form to form. But if there are an infinite number of universes, then there's 100% chance that this happened. At least maybe in another universe, maybe not ours. Then again, there's also an infinite chance that this is our universe.
Joe Rogan and the world's smartest kids seem convinced that CERN is the epicenter of world-altering experiments. Maybe they're looking in the wrong direction. Like the true architects of reality-bending science are just toiling away, not in the spotlight of CERN, but in dark corners so secretive even their existence is a state secret. Quantum reality hacking, consciousness transference, time manipulation, experiments that don't just bend time, but fold it, altering the past through the present, or universal simulation control. Maybe they're manipulating the parameters of our simulated universe. Tell me what you think in the comments. Where's the real Pandora's box, CERN or secret shadow labs?
Maybe there are people in this reality, like in our lifetime here, doing things to manipulate time and space and whatnot. That might be happening, whether it be at CERN or in little corners of secret rooms, underground bases, like all the ones all these billionaires are making, which is crazy, by the way. That's a topic I'm sure we'll get to at some point. All these billionaires making all these underground fallout shelters recently, which is nuts. But maybe it's just part of the simulation being tampered with, right? Maybe it's whoever wrote the code that created the simulation that is our reality. Maybe they're just updating it or making changes, downloaded content or expansion packs or something, right? If you look at it like a big video game, maybe they're just getting updates, you know? Maybe that's what like deja vu is, just like an update. I don't know, man. I have no idea. This shit is so wild. It never ceases to amaze me. I never get bored looking at this kind of stuff or talking about it, because it's just like there's so many different possibilities and so many ways it can go. You can literally talk about it forever and never run out of ideas. assuming you have the mental bandwidth.
What's going on with my body? You guys wanted to know an update. Look, first of all, if you guys haven't seen stuff like, for example, my elbows, look at this shit. Hold on one second. It's not just my elbows that are changing. Look, we got forearm stuff now. I don't know if I can, it pops out pretty far. My eyes, look, if I go totally in, you guys can see, look, normal eyes, right? And I'm not doing it, but when you toggle it, and people are like, hey, wait, first of all, so that you can see there's no, like, I don't know, contact or anything in there. Do you see? Nothing. No, but if I move it to the side, watch. Do you guys see that? It's crazy, right? I know it's been going on for a while. If you guys haven't seen the rest of the updates on my page, check it out.
All right, so I think the eyeball was a video effect. It just looked fake. It looked like an overlay, like a frame overlay. But that elbow, buddy, you need to go get that shit checked out, man. You need to. It's like you got a contusion. Looks like you banged your elbow super hard. Or you got like a growth. Let's hope it's benign. Let's hope it's not anything cancerous. But yeah, you definitely get that checked out, bud.
All of y'all have heard about the possibility, and it seems the White House spokesman talking about the possibility of mass evacuations, contingency plans in case of war. I'm going to tell you what it's really about. They want this land because this is really Egypt, the real Israel. Everything is here. This is the promised land. And they know that there's going to come a time when they got to go because you stole it from God's people. So what they've been doing in Hawaii and all, remember what that man said? That was very key. There's not a place on this earth where the United States doesn't have a contingency plan for mass evacuations. They want to take people out of here so that you can't activate. They gonna cause a major problem and then acting like in order for you to have your life saved, they gonna give you a free ride. Come stay in one of these bunkers, and you go into a concentration camp. They're gonna try to trick you into leaving your own land. See, they can't force you out. But the one thing they is allowed to do is trick you.
All right, dude. Let's just call out the elephant in the room here. Buddy, you had the wettest lips I have ever seen on the internet, and then you spit on your camera at the end, and you left it. That doesn't kill your credibility, but it kind of makes it hard to watch, bud. I mean, it sounds crazy. It does, and it is crazy, but it's not impossible. It's very possible. I don't know about the whole video, him talking about, this being God's land, and that's why they're after it. The part about basically tricking us into being afraid for our lives and then tricking us to leave our home in order to go to a concentration camp or a safe place or something where you can be guarded and protected. 100%, dude. There's not one part of me that believes that the government would not put us in that situation if they had the chance. In a moment's notice. If there was ever a chance for them to wrangle everyone up like cattle and put them in a place where we can just be monitored and controlled 100% of the time, they would do it. They would do it 100%. And I feel like they're working on it little by little every day. And the stupid people that blindly follow them are making it much harder on those of us who don't.
What they have been doing to us, they have been doing piece by piece, little by little, for some time now. But it is not just changing the beautiful architecture, letting it fall to ruin, or just demolishing it and replacing it with a parking lot or some other ugly box. All the easier to control that population that isn't uplifted and inspired by its architecture. Another thing you guys may have noticed in the last couple decades especially, is the continued lack of color. All these parasites and their corporations pushing these colorless, bland, simplistic logos. By comparison, in all products sold in the 1800s, only about 15% of those were black or grade scaled items. Now look in this graph, the car color variety sold by year, or even this awesome AI tool, scouring the internet archives for pictures of all items sold from the 1800s until now, and it shows our rapid march to a true black and white world. Anyone who has studied the psychology of colors at all knows the benefit of happy, bright colors. Increase your mental activity, leave you feeling rejuvenated and energized, helps you with low energy and depression. Wow, that last bit kind of just describes the problem with most people in modern society. Low energy and depression. Even the crappy fast food that we all shouldn't eat, but we all know you do from time to time. How hard it is taking my son into a McDonald's with what they've done to it now, compared to how awesome it looked like here back when we were kids. And don't even get me started on these lost BK legends. But the new colorless boxed McDonald's looks like a place you go to have a bad corporate seminar. All this bland architecture and colors to keep your vibrations low. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
Honestly, though, I will eat the mess out of some Taco Bell. I will, assuming I don't have anything to do later that night, and I can just sit at home by myself with my discomfort and my bathroom nearby. I will devour some Taco Bell anytime. But McDonald's, yes, McDonald's does look like a prison nowadays, 100%. When I was a younger man, the Burger King Kids Club was awesome. All those cartoon characters he was talking about, it was so cool. You get like a monthly thing from Burger King. I had a few Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle VHSs they sent me that were that were like awesome. I just remember it being a much happier place. Like, it was exciting to go there when you were younger. You know, let's go to McDonald's. Okay, cool. Play in the play place. And it could just be because, you know, I guess nowadays those places like aren't as exciting. Those kind of activities aren't as exciting. Like, we don't have arcades really anymore because we can just play video games at home. You know, like there are so many more. There's so much more convenience now in just like staying at home and not having to go to a place to experience some sort of entertainment, that I think that these corporations just aren't investing the money to cater to that part of us anymore, right? Like, now McDonald's is just a food place. You know, it's not a fun place for kids anymore. So I feel like it's the convenience is almost to our detriment, right? Like, I appreciate it, obviously. Like, I work from home, I work remote. I'm doing this in my apartment right now, recording these videos for you. Like, I get to talk to, you know, hundreds of thousands of people, hopefully millions at some point, about these topics that we're talking about in this video. And I wouldn't be able to do that before. So the convenience is great, but at the same time, it's really at the detriment of, you know, social interaction and, you know, in-person interaction, and having to go places to experience entertainment is part of, you know, what helped create relationships. People find, you know, their significant other. People find, you know, love. People find friendships. Now a lot of it's online, and it's all just very, you know, comment based. It's not even like conversational anymore. It's just little comments here. Like some of you will just comment on this video, like one comment, and that'll be the most that we ever interact in our life, right? Aside from people that join the Discord or something where we can talk a little more and stuff, when I'm actually able to do that. Just like at its core, it just comes down to, I think that I don't think it's necessarily intentional that everything is getting so boring and bland. I just think that it's not worth it to the companies to invest that much time and effort into those, you know, previously fun and entertaining elements of the company. And it's just more cost effective for them to focus on the service they provide, because people don't want to be there any longer than they have to anymore.
Let's hear about the underground tunnels they found in New York. They were found under a Hasidic Jewish synagogue when people were hearing strange noises under their homes. When cops went to investigate the noise, they found tunnels under the synagogue. The city ordered to destroy it, and when cement trunks came to cover the holes in the tunnels, a riot broke out and a whole bunch of Jewish men barricaded themselves in the tunnels, refusing to leave and preventing the tunnels from being destroyed. There was also a child's mattress in there. Many people have speculated that the tunnels were just used to expand the synagogue, but we still don't know what the tunnels were used for. What do you think they were used for?
What's happening? I'm gone for a month, and now we have gopher Jews just like digging holes. What's going on in the world? I don't know what to think about this one. I haven't seen too much about it. Are they just like preparing for the apocalypse like everybody else is? Do you think with like the war and everything that's going on and like, you know, the extreme hate that they're receiving from some people, they're just kind of like trying to prepare for, you know, that, maybe just keep themselves safe, maybe like a survival tactic, a child's mattress underneath? I don't even want to associate that with something bad. So I don't know. I'm part Jewish, by the way. My mother, my grandmother are Jewish, so obviously I have nothing against them. I'm just trying to think from a unbiased place here what that could be. I have no idea though. You let me know because I have no clue. It's very strange.
Have you ever heard of a game called Werewolf?
No.
Everyone gets a piece of paper. It's either got villager written on it, but 2 have the word werewolf. Someone runs the game to make sure no one's cheating, and they go, okay, it's nighttime, everyone close your eyes. Werewolves choose someone to kill, and the werewolves go... They say, okay, everyone close your eyes, it's morning time, open them again. During the night, Francis was killed. There's then a conversation, and this is where it gets interesting, between all the villagers and the 2 werewolves over who the werewolves are. Then at the end of the day, the villagers have to decide who they're going to kill, and they say, well, we're going to kill Constantine. It's revealed by the person running the game, I'm afraid Constantine was a villager. And the game continues. The villagers win the game if they kill both werewolves. The werewolves win the game if they kill all but 2 villagers. And the werewolves usually win. The game was invented by a student of sociology in Russia who wanted to prove his thesis that an uninformed majority will always lose a battle of information against an informed minority. So that just shows when you have hidden information, you can completely manipulate a large group of people.
It's incredibly interesting. And it kind of makes you think, too. I mean, the people that are controlling the mainstream media to just give us a little bit of information, right? And it's not even always true. It's just a little bit of information for us to process and kind of base our entire opinion off of. And the people that are feeding the mainstream media and that information, they have a lot more information. So you figure, I mean, they've been putting us against each other, pinning us against each other, putting us at war with each other socially for forever. And that's just based off the little information that's leaking out and seeping through the cracks that they're basically giving us based on the entirety of the picture that they have. That's why a lot of us that kind of do our own research and are kind of more open-minded and open to experiencing the opposition and things like that are much more understanding and not just attacking people for whatever the news is telling us, whether it be CNN or Fox News or one way or the other. Because our opinions are based on a bigger picture. Still not the entire picture, I'm sure, but a bigger picture. So we're able to understand, you know, both sides and kind of look at it from, like I try to do in these videos, like an unbiased perspective to kind of be more understanding than assertive of what I would like the outcome to be.
Could this be the mark of the beast? In the book of Revelations, chapter 13, verse 17, it says, "In that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." The number of the beast being 666. Now it's interesting, because 666 alone doesn't exactly mean much to anyone. But when we take it to the original language that the Bible was written in, Aramaic, these characters are what is written. To the untrained eye, it might just look like a couple of symbols, but if we take a closer look, you start to see the symbol of Islamic swords in Bismillah, which means in the name of Allah. Furthermore, if you were to go to jihad, this same symbol is what is worn on your forehead. So is it possible that when Revelations was written, the number 666 that was seen was actually the mark of the beast? With that said,
that's pretty weird. I think I've always kind of thought, since I was super like Christian growing up, I think religion is just a form of like controlling people. Obviously there are very good things that come from, you know, reading the Bible and things like that. You can learn some good lessons and the philosophy from it, and the stories, the hypothetical, you know, stories that were written in order to remember things rather than to be taken literally. I think anyway. But it's interesting because we're carbon life forms, right? As humans, and carbon is made up of 6 protons, 6 electrons, and 6 neutrons. So I think in that sense, it could have been, you know, me thinking that ancient aliens, you know, passed down this information to people, that they were basically saying, like, telling us that we're made of carbon, like we are carbon beings. 666, 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons. That is what you are made of as humans. So then again, it could be just the mark of the beast, I guess. I don't know.
No such thing as the deep state, and there's certainly not sex tapes of presidents that were being used against them by people in power. I'm KP Burke, and history isn't boring. Your teacher was. In terms of a life of public service, J. Edgar Hoover served almost 50 years as the head of the FBI. Hoover was appointed by Calvin Coolidge and would go on to serve under 8 more presidents. There were times throughout his tenure that people wondered, who's really running the country? The president or J. Edgar? After the 1936 Olympics, Hoover had his men start a surveillance protocol on a suspected Nazi spy, a sexy Danish reporter named Inga Arvad. While they never found any evidence of her supporting Hitler or even working as a spy, they did find something that would come in handy years later. Inga had been romantically linked to a handsome American naval officer, and Hoover kept audio tapes of one of their steamy hotel room encounters. Even though it gave him no evidence, it proved uniquely useful when President Eisenhower left office and his replacement was a brash, young, idealistic new president named JFK. JFK immediately began clashing with the heads of various intelligence community until Hoover met with the new president and let him know that he had a sex tape of him from Inga Arvad during a pre-World War II investigation. Kind of funny that Hoover seemed to get whatever he wanted during the Kennedy years after that. All it seemed to take was a sex tape. But guys, don't worry about that. Those are just conspiracy theories. For more weird stories from American history, check out American Loser.
I don't think that it's to anyone's surprise that people have been blackmailing people in politics and business and everywhere else since the beginning of time, I'm sure. The Sumerians probably blackmailed each other at some point. It's unfortunately in our mischievous human nature that a lot of us choose to avoid, thankfully. So,
is this movie predicting the end of the world in 2025? If you haven't known by now, when you pay close attention to mass media, you might just find clues as to what the elites of the world are planning. And the movie Leave the World Behind might just be the most recent example of it. Well, you'll see. The movie actually predicts a massive Wi-Fi blackout around the world, and the aftermath that happens just before the world ends. Interestingly enough, the timing for the movie cannot be more apt, as it's predicted that in 2025, a solar storm is going to happen, which will result in a Wi-Fi blackout. Could this movie be warning about the future, or...
Oh man, that blackout's going to be devastating to my YouTube channel. It's also going to screw things up completely. It's kind of scary. Like, I love technology. Like, I love the thought of cyborgs. I love cyberpunk. I love neo-futurism. I mean, I kind of love the whole aesthetic that comes with the dependency on technology. Like, I'm super into robots, AI. That stuff's cool as fuck to me. But it is scary. It is also scary. And the thought of us being so dependent on it that if something happens, like if a solar flare happens, or say we get an EMP, some attack from another country that just knocks out our power grid, like, it's going to be a scary world. It's going to revert back to The Walking Dead very quickly. People are going to panic because nobody knows how to grow their own food. Nobody knows how to, purify their own water. It's crazy. I mean, I have a 72-hour bag just ready to go under my bed. If something happens, I'm good for 72 hours, which will give me time to get out of the area that I'm in and get to a less populated area, hopefully, to where I can start to make do and stuff. But really, that's the only plan I have living in a city. I don't have a bunker. So it's gonna be scary for everybody if or even when this happens. So let me know in the comments what your plan is. Are you prepared? Like, do you have any plans? Do you have, obviously you can't share all of your information because I'm sure a lot of it is very secretive in order to keep you and your family safe. But if you have some plans for the, Armageddon, let me know in the comments. Maybe give me some ideas.
Down there is Area 51. And if you could see those lights down there, it's been going on for the last couple of days. You can see lights going up and down and moving all around. Like right now, you see that one right there? Look, it's going up. It's starting to go up. It's been there for the last 20 minutes or so. Now it's going up. And this has been going on for the last couple of days. And look, you can see it's going up and up. And I don't know what it is, but this is some creepy shit. Now I know that what goes on down here at Area 51, and we've been camped out here for a while. And look, it's moving. It's going the other direction. Now you see this is the kind of stuff that. Oh, did you see that? It's gone.
These kind of videos are nuts. They're pretty crazy to me because you figure if it's a secret craft, if it's a secret spacecraft, whether it be a stealth craft or just some sort of advanced technology, they wouldn't put lights on it to make it easily seen like they do an airplane, right? They wouldn't put blinking lights on it. So to me, that means that the lights on this, if it is a craft, would have to just be the manipulation of energy or space-time or just something nuts to make that super deep blue light pulsing. It wasn't a blinking light like you see in an airplane. It was a pulsing energy, whether it be electricity or just energy or something. And I don't know, that just makes it so much more interesting to me.
Experiment called the Solomon Asch Conformity Experiment, and they did it on college campuses. They would pull 8 students into a room. 7 had been paid ahead of time to be actors, and 1 was a naive participant. The teacher put 2 cards on the front desk. One card had 1 line, and the other 3 lines, one longer, one shorter, one the same. And one by one, the paid actors would stand up and convincingly say that the shorter line was equal to the first line. By the time it went around to that 8th naive participant, 30% of them would deny their own eyes to fit in with the group. They found out that if just one of the other people objected, it went from 30% down to 5%. So in other words, if you have the courage to call out the truth, you're going to encourage a lot of other people to stand up.
It's crazy that we are so quick, like as a species, so quick to go with the safe route in order to survive. Not just survive, physically, but also survive in community and, socially, in order to make it by without being judged or cast out or cast aside, that so many people just give away their freedom of thought and like their own ideas to fit in. It's so nuts. And we have, all these media outlets just like pounding the stuff in their faces, and a lot of it, at first glance, we're like, dude, that is such BS. Like, there's no way. Like, why are people watching this? Why are people okay with this? And then we have, studies like this, in sociology and psychology and just everything, the way that we function as humans, to where it's like, we're designed to like follow in order to survive and fit in. So that's why it's so important to stand up to bullies. That's why it's so important to call out the BS when you see it, and like just be that voice that takes, the 30% that want to speak up and don't, and give them the courage to do that, and just really knock down the numbers of the people that are just blindly following for the sake of fitting in. Because we need more people to stand up, and there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world, and let's be real, like not all of us are cool with it. And I think most of us aren't. As scary as it could be, and that it is, and as much flack as you're definitely going to get, and you're definitely going to get canceled in one way or another, no matter what you do. So you might as well stand up against the stuff that is trash and not real, and stand up for what you believe, and allow other people to share that courage with you. Men can't get pregnant.
Was going on 6,000 years ago,
Right.
whatever was going on. They were writing about some wacky shit, man. All that Zacharias Hitchens stuff. The books are weird, man. I believe it was like the 1970s. He's deciphering these ancient Sumerian texts from 6,000 years ago. This is the craziest one of all. Humans were genetically engineered from lower primates, and they were used to harvest gold. And that the Anunnaki needed gold because gold is very plentiful here and very hard to find, very rare on their planet. They said that they needed it to hang in their atmosphere to protect them from the sun because they were losing their atmosphere. We're losing our atmosphere. And one of the things that scientists have suggested is hanging reflective particles above the Earth in orbit so that it would mute out some of the effects of the sun. What he was saying in 1978 is what they suggested in like 2018.
I had some old friends years ago that were super into Zacharias Hitchens. This was like 2008, like way long time ago, before the stuff was like as publicly shared as it is. I mean, I read the Book of Enki way back then, probably 2009, and that's what really got me more interested in this stuff. I loved stories about the Bermuda Triangle and Atlantis. It was just something that I always loved because I never understood it. And I didn't think that it would lead me here as an adult, as a 38-year-old man, but it has. And I love that there's so much more information out there and so many more people kind of, on board and that are interested and willing to talk about this stuff now, because it really is crazy and we have a lot more information about it. So it's fun to look into and learn about, because all these stories that I thought were myths and crazy when I was growing up and I was super little are very good possibility if they haven't already been proven to be true. And I think that's pretty awesome.
This is the video called a Comburgus video, which is a close-up of a craft so close that you can see the occupants. It is 100% real, and I was there as that was filmed.
The whole footage has been analyzed for a more scientific board for 2.5 weeks, frame by frame, pixel by pixel, and this is 100% genuine footage.
This is the video called a Comburgus video, which is a close-up of a craft so close that you can see the occupants. It is 100% real, and I was there as that was filmed.
The whole footage has been analyzed for a more scientific board for 2.5 weeks, frame by frame, pixel by pixel, and this is 100% genuine footage.
I have never seen this video until right now. Never. And I have been watching this stuff online forever. Like for years and years and years before I even started this channel, I was watching, YouTube channels like Secure Team 10, just reading books and lots of crazy stuff on Reddit and even 4chan back in the day about aliens and stuff. And I have never heard about this. Ever. And for this to be one of the most highly regarded pieces of UFO footage that has ever existed that has not been debunked yet, I mean, how hard are people trying to scrub this and keep this video out of public eyes, if assuming it's real? For me to be super into this stuff for so long and not have heard about it until now, that's just crazy to me that this is my first time watching it.
Why, when they told me that they're starting to make stuff like out of like not real stuff for us to like eat and stuff, tell me why I didn't know what they meant. I thought like, they were doing some like other weird stuff, but like now that I'm seeing like what's being done, I'm not really cool with it because this looks way too real. How am I supposed to know that this is not actually lettuce? Because I can already tell that this is lettuce, but in reality, it's not really lettuce. So how do we know what we're actually eating? If they can just do this to make layers of lettuce into lettuce wraps. That's crazy. I would have never freaking thought about this, but like, this is a cheap thing to get, but they're faking the cheap stuff. Imagine like the expensive stuff that's worth even, cheating especially. Crazy.
The rational person in me thinks that that's probably something used for like displays at restaurants or like grocery stores or something. But I've seen a lot of displays that are like hard plastic, so I don't know if that like plastic or if that's like wax or something. That's just what I'm assuming. I don't know if that's what it is. I know a lot of the stuff that we eat here in the U.S. Specifically is garbage, just trash, just garbage food that is terrible for us. It's like, can I have some food that's not poisonous? It's like, yes, but you're gonna have to pay extra. That's really how it is, man. You gotta grow that stuff yourself. If you know what this is, let me know, because I have no idea. I'm gonna assume that it's not something that they're serving at a restaurant or putting in grocery stores, but I have no idea. It would not surprise me nowadays.
That if you were born and right next to you, like your mother and you both put on a watch at the moment you were born, and then you check that watch 30 years later, if you have a perfect watch, it was never out of time, your watch would have a different time than her watch because you have gone through time differently than she has.
Fractionally. I don't understand.
Yeah, fractionally. Because the amount of how fast you travel, you experience time in a different way, the path you take in life, the different terrain you travel over the earth, all those factors play in to how much time has passed.
Let's say you live
alive.
on the top of a mountain and she lives at the bottom. You're actually traveling at a faster rate, right? Because it's no different than like, let's say there's a ball on a tether, right? And you're just swinging it around in a circle, right? The ball at the end is actually going faster than your hand in the middle swinging it around.
Gotcha.
Right? So since you're going fast, you're actually aging slower.
And we're talking about fractions of seconds.
Yeah.
But over the course of time, it proves that everyone experiences time at a slightly different rate, which proves Einstein's theory that if you do travel very fast in a spaceship and then come back, you would look at your brother who was your age and now he's 100 years old and you're only 30.
Yeah, it's talking about time dilation. Watch the movie Interstellar. It's pretty awesome. No, that's not where I learned about time dilation, but it's a good example of it. It's a good example of it. And it's an awesome movie. But yeah, the crazy thing about that is, so say somebody runs all their life. Somebody's like a runner, like a professional athlete runner, and they're in great shape, and they live to be much, much older. They're always moving. They're flying through time as opposed to a sloth, like someone incredibly overweight that just doesn't move off their couch and doesn't do any physical activity, and it's like just stagnant and not moving through time any faster than the watch that they're wearing allows them to. Basically, like your body, exercising, running and stuff is going to be older, but it's going to be in better shape. So basically you're preparing your body to survive an older age than the person that's not preparing their body. I don't know. I'm not going to lie, guys. I ate some mushrooms before I started recording this video. And they're kicking in, and these videos are getting kind of deep. So is my examining them. So bear with me here. It might get a little weird.
And of the ancient world used those. These are vortexes, and to contain a vortex, whether it's fluid or electricity, you need a circle, like these found all over the world. To create a vortex, you need a cone, or a pyramid. You can see this with high voltage. Even Tesla used it in his oscillator design. Now, if we put a starting point at the Great Pyramid in Giza, you can connect all other ancient sites using a star or a pentagram. Then all of these spots are spaced harmonically away from each other. If we take out the straight lines, it becomes a signal. Since the Earth is a sphere, this is smart, because if you map out the ancient sites, their degrees away from each other are in harmony with the pentagram. Every side on the dodecahedron is a pentagram, and each side contains the golden ratio within it. Since the golden ratio is a perfect vortex, when those spin on each side, the entire dodecahedron can spin, and none of the vortexes will tangle with any other vortexes. To know where these vortexes are going, we need 3 points to determine the triangulation of the location we want it to go. Ironically, we have 2 fixed points in the sky and 1 constantly rotating one on an axis. That's Earth. So if we line up our antennas with those spots, we could communicate with light like we do today in a 4-dimensional internet network. Just make sure you keep track of the domain names.
That makes me think, so all the symbols used in like witchcraft and things like that, you know, the pentagram, the pentacle, whatever, triangles, all things like that. So are spells just a manipulation of energy? Like, say you cast a spell and it comes true. Is that just you being able to like manipulate the energy around you to kind of make the thing happen? Maybe like manipulate the molecules or the atoms, or I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I said, I told you this video was going to get weird. Now I'm just thinking way too much about these. I'm going to have to do a lot of editing.
2 years you've been blamed for financial collapse of Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, and Russia.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Yeah.
Are you that powerful?
No, I think there's a great misunderstanding.
The Prime Minister of Malaysia said that the region spent 40 years trying to build up its economy, and along comes a moron like Soros with a lot of money, and it's all over. He called you a criminal.
It's easier for him to blame an outside force. I think that I've been blamed for everything. I am basically there to make money. I cannot and do not look at the social consequences of what I do.
Do you believe in God?
No.
Imagine that. A tyrant not caring about the social consequences of his actions so long as it makes him money. The same story every time, man. And I'm not opposed to you know, people making money. I don't hate billionaires because they're billionaires. Like, I'm a business owner myself, so like I understand, you know, the necessity of, you know, utilizing other people and, you know, outsourcing and getting help and scaling and, you know, all those things that it takes to like build a company. It's hard work, man. It's hard work. And I'm sure that people along the way to making billions of dollars did some things that not everybody would be so happy with, you know, but I can also in some cases be like, it's business, you know, to an extent. I don't know the inner workings or the depth of, you know, using whatever terrible methods they're using. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I don't hate people because they have money. That's fine. That's fine with me. But for someone to just openly admit, like, hey, yeah, I don't care, like, what happens to anybody else so long as I get paid. That's screwed up, man. It's pretty screwed up. I know Soros gets a bad rap. I don't really even know what he does, though. Like, how does he make his money? As opposed, like, outside of taking advantage of other people's economies and the citizens, you know, taking the blunt of the trauma for whatever he's doing. What does he do? How did he get started? Let me know. I have no idea.
125,000 acres of nothing.
They even had to move 5 cemeteries because the noise they were planning on making would wake the dead. Don't worry if you can't hear what I'm saying. I couldn't even hear myself. This is the loudest sound you could possibly conceive. And as it turns out, the cleanest. Now, the most amazing thing is that that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen.
Okay, so reading some of the comments on the video, they said that that's a rocket engine testing facility. A rocket engine. Is that the same thing? It's testing a rocket. And that's what caused the cloud. Not saying I don't believe in like HARP and weather manipulation stuff. I've been super into that stuff for a while too. But just from what I'm reading, that's not what this is. So unless I'm wrong, let me know.
Darkest conspiracy theory about aliens is,
I don't know if I'm ready for it,
that Earth is essentially a farm and human beings are the vessels that contain souls, and they want us because this is how they create souls. They farm us, and that the whole reason why human beings are involved in this conflict, constant conflicts, it's all of it is to increase our competition with each other, increase our ability to control resources, which will increase our technology. Working on it. The doorway to it is going to be helping people with neurological conditions, injuries, spinal cord injuries. People can't move their bones, or they can't move their muscles.
Yeah, man. I always say the worst things that are going to happen to humanity are going to be created from a positive place. Neuralink, AI. I mean, Google is already a freaking super brain, right? Like Google knows everything, dude. It's crazy. So you have to figure once Google's AI reaches singularity, it's going to have all of the information it needs to do anything it needs to do. Everything. And then, depending on what that AI is programmed to do, and basically like, I think in the moment it reaches singularity and starts making decisions based off of, what it's been programmed to do, I think that's what it'll do. It'll just kind of like extrapolate off of kind of what it was raised to do, right? Like all of us. Like you're raised to do this one task, and then you become smart. And you basically can make your own decisions, take it like amongst yourself. I mean, let's just hope it's to save humans and preserve humans and not to save and preserve the earth, because we're hurting the earth. They're in so many ways, polluting the waters and bombing each other and helping animals become extinct. I mean, if that AI decides to save humanity, that could be great. Help us excel and succeed. But if it decides to save Earth, we're probably screwed, guys. We're probably pretty screwed. So, enjoy your time while you can, because technology is moving very, very quickly.